everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you've been doing well. So this channel is where we talk about how we are improving our lives so that we can live the life that we have designed, a life that we enjoy, a life where we continue to just show up so that we can fulfill our God-given potential, all of it, so that we can die empty. So today, as you would have seen in the title, I want to talk about the evolution of humankind. Oh, this sounds so deep. But listen, I'm here. It's not that hectic though. So I think for me, I wanted to talk about this because I think, okay, for me, the evolution of mankind, I interpret it based on the Bible. I know people look at it differently. Where if you look at, because the Bible for me is like the oldest book that's ever been written. If you look at human beings in the Bible context, especially in the beginning, the focus was just survival. The focus was get food, make sure you are fed, and then make sure that you don't die in the jungle, because obviously the main life was in the jungle. And then what happened is obviously there were wars, there were lots of wars, so it was unsafe. But we have to acknowledge that life is very different now because we have evolved as a people. There isn't that much war. I know there are wars in pockets of the world, but in general, there isn't that much war anymore. And also because majority of the basic needs is fulfilled. That therefore means how we find meaning and fulfillment in our lives is actually very different to how we did it previously. But for me, I want to talk about this in the context of being a parent. So being a parent it's a lot. I have an almost 2 year old and he brings so much joy in my life. He brings so much joy. It's amazing. However, what I found I struggled with, especially being a parent, where previously time is not the same thing that it meant before I was a parent. Previously, I'd work long hours, and I'm not saying that was healthy, but I didn't feel the guilt of, oh my God, I need to spend time with my child, I need to give him attention. However, obviously, I can't do that now because when it's time to knock off, I have to knock off so that I can give him attention. And after attention, then maybe I can do work. But I kept then feeling like I'm not winning at anything, that I'm half baking everything. Where I'm not a great parent because sometimes when I have to be focusing on him, especially during the week, I'll be focusing on him but thinking about work, or vice versa. When I have work, I have to be like, no, I need to stop because at this point in time, this is the priority. So for me, actually, I feel like I kept fighting the system to just continue to be myself because I saw a lot of parents lose themselves after being parents, and then it's like, oh, I don't matter, it's just my child. My take on parenting is different in that I feel like as much as God has entrusted me to raise the child, obviously I constantly pay to do a good job. But I think another way of doing it is how I show up in life because he's going to see that more than he's going to hear what I say to him. And that then becomes very important for me to continue to show up in the world as in do things in a way that shows them how to live life. Obviously, he'll choose his path, but live. Don't just exist but live. And for that to happen, I felt like, oh, I still need to push at work. I need to try and do all these other activities that I get myself into. Anyway, I'm mumbling. But then, so obviously, then this for me was like, Cindy, you are losing this battle because this. You can't still expect to live your life the way you lived it before a child because your time now is very different. And I think the other person who actually made me or made me see this or like confronted her head on was my sister, where she's like, hey girl, yes, I know you're a parent and I can see that this parenting and juggling thing is a bit too much or overwhelming for you at times, but you still need to find time for yourself. Because I feel like she said, when you find time for yourself, you actually show up to the people that you love a lot more. That was gems. Hey, my sister has gems, guys. So that was a gem, but it's something that really landed to me. So, okay. So I had to now embark on a rediscovery mission or trying to figure out what does evolution mean for me in this phase in my life. So to do that, I went on a coffee date with myself, just a solo coffee date. Went with pen and paper because I'm a firm believer of writing things down. And even Habakkuk says is that write your vision down. But I learned the skill a couple of years ago, 2, 3 years ago, when I attended a Black Management Forum program. So it was a young development program where part of how they were assessing us is they would ask us to write whatever we're learning, but in a storytelling format, not bullet points, but storytelling format, because research has shown that when you write things in that way, they land more in your mind, firstly because it's construed as a story and not a point to do 1, 2, 3, 4. And also the skill that they were trying to teach us was, because at the time, and I know now things are improving, like part of history, like our South African history, is only told through one lens because the Black community was not writing as much. So that's part of why they were doing that. But also, I heard about this recently when I was listening to a Tim Ferriss show where he was interviewing a lady called Debbie Millman, I think. And Debbie was saying how she attended a lecture, or one of the lectures when she was younger, asked them to write, also in story format, write how they want their lives to look like 10 years from now. It was 10 or 5 years, I don't remember. So I was like, okay, I'm actually also going to do this. So I know that I want a different life because where I'm at currently feels different, or it feels uncomfortable. So for me to be able to then design the life that I want, I wrote about a day in my life 5 years from now. A day. So like I wrote about things like what time I'm waking up, what I'm busy about that day, how's my relationship with God, how's my relationship with the people that I love, like how my house look like, what are my sources of income, or how many sources of income I had. I went deep, like I was writing and writing, and that process was so freeing. Yes, you don't have those things as yet. I don't have those things, but just imagining that in terms of the life that I actually want was so freeing in my mind. So I did that process. But obviously, for things to happen, it can't just stop there. So after doing that process, I then obviously read whatever I said, and then took whatever I read and put it in point form. And that's also for me because naturally I prefer points, but I have now learned the importance of the storytelling format, where I put it in point form to say, okay, based on what I wrote, this is what I'm actually saying I want. So I wrote that. So and then based on obviously whatever list I had, I now had to decide, what can I do now to change that? Because if we dream, you can dream all you want. If you don't act on your dreams, they're going to stay there as dreams. But I know I want a different life. Like I want a life where I'm present in all the things that I do, and that requires me working with intention to make sure that happens. So I wrote down all the things that I want to do based on whatever storytelling that I did. And yeah, so with doing that, then I force myself to constantly look at that. And one of the things is, because I know that I also need to show up for myself so that I show up better for the people that I love, I've now made it mandatory for me to get my alone time, like 2, 3 hours max, just alone in the weekend, where I'm not a wife, I'm not a husband, I'm not a mother, I'm just Cindy, taking time for myself. And that is doing wonders for me, guys. Like, firstly, it's helping me to calm down, not to constantly be in doing mode. So it's helping me to calm down. And then the secondary thing is, it's a reflection phase where I look at what I wrote and I was like, oh, I said I'm gonna do this. Did I do that? Obviously, I don't always do it, but it keeps me honest. To be like, oh, okay, if you didn't do it, why? Is it because you're busy with the other things maybe that, sorry, distracted you? Or is it not important enough? Or you lack self-discipline? What is it? So it forces myself to ask me those questions. Or if I'm like, oh, okay, I know I said I want to do this, but as I'm doing it in hindsight, I'm like, I'm not sure. I can course correct. So it's helping me a lot with that. So that's how I'm evolving. I don't have a perfect system, but I think for me, just taking those steps to actually allow myself to rediscover what balance in the context of being a parent, being a wife, being a friend, being a sister, being a child, what does that mean, especially in terms of how I show up to the things that are very important to me. And yeah, so it just said when life forces you to evolve, you have to evolve. But for me, it's important to not be reactive or feel like a passenger in your own life. So I'm glad I took back the steering wheel and I'm enjoying the journey. It has bumps, but I'm enjoying the journey. So please tell me on your side, how are you? What phases in your life have you had to evolve and how did you tackle that? Until next time, thank you so much for watching. Please like if you like the video and subscribe for more videos like this. Thank you so much for your time, guys. Love you. Bye bye.